Now let's just keep modeling stuff, and eventually our building will start to come together. If I go here, and let me go over snaps again real quick so we make sure we're doing the right thing. We want to be on 2.5 snap. 3D snap will snap literally to this point, so you can watch. It'll snap to those points in the X, Y, and Z axis. The problem with that is we oftentimes have things that aren't on the same plane. Like for example, this upper wall is going to be on a different plane than this one, so it'll get us all messed up. We'll have things going back at an angle away from us or towards us, and it'll look flat in the front view. Then when we go tumble around, everything looks messed up. So 2.5 snap is what we want when we're drafting in orthographic views like this, in a straight on front view or straight on side view, because it will draw at the same plane always. So watch. It'll snap to us in this front view. It'll snap to this other wall that we've got already, which is good. Also, if you hold down Shift as you're dragging this way, you can, if you hold down Shift, it'll go straight and still snap here. So see, it's snapping to this distance in the X, but it's ignoring the Y if you hold down Shift. So no matter what direction you go in the Y, it's only going in the X, but it'll snap to that endpoint right there, and then you can come down. Just like that. Let's put in another door here. We're going to have to go in and clean this up because my sketch is so bad, but that's okay. Now, because it was in 2.5 snap, it's always drawing on this plane back here, which is okay. That's better than getting it all messed up in 3 dimensions. So now we just have to worry about moving it into place in the top view. We know it's on the same plane as that other wall, so now we're good to go. One thing we need to do here, and this is a problem we wouldn't have if we're using CAD, but since I'm using a sketch, then we'll have to do these kind of things. We need all these door heights to be the same, right? No. Okay, so those door heights, and let's make sure that they're kind of the right size. They might be a little big. So a door would be about, well, a double door would be 6 feet by, we'll say 8 feet. There'll be big doors here. So let's make a rectangle that's about that size, and we'll use that as reference in here. So because my sketch wasn't nicely drafted out or anything like that, then we have to go back and kind of make sure our dimensions are right. So my door wasn't too far off. And again, we're just going into sub-object mode here. Let's make sure everything lines up where we want. Okay, one handy thing that I keep doing that I haven't mentioned, when you're moving vertices around, one thing that really helps is to lock your selection, and the hotkey for that is spacebar. And you'll see this little lock highlight down here. And because the hotkey is spacebar, it's very easy to turn on and off. So I like to, whenever I make my selection for what to move, I just lock it so that now wherever I click, it's only going to move that. And that can be a helpful, because sometimes you have vertices that are really close to each other, so you go and try to move it, and you accidentally select a different one and start moving that one instead. So it's sometimes easier to just lock it, unlock it, lock it, unlock it when you're moving it around. So lock, move, unlock, like that. So let's take these, lock them in, move them that way. Now here, this is a good opportunity to show you some other spline tools. Let's go into the sub-object mode of segment and just delete these ones, like that. And remember, this door over here is the one we set up correctly, so let's select that one, take these segments, remember to hold down shift to move it along the x-axis, like that, and we'll put one there, and put one there. And let's select the whole spline. We want to detach those from this wall over here. Detach is another tool in here. Detach makes it its own object. So now this object and this object and this object are all separate things. So if we go here, this is pretty cool. If we go here, we can go, even though this is already extruded into a solid object, we can go down to the edit spline. We can go into the spline tools, one of which is attach. We actually want to be in, well no, this is fine, attach. And we can attach this guy here. So now those doors match this one perfectly, and they're part of this wall again. But of course, we need to weld those together now. Oh, and they're not even on the same plane. So let's select all these splines like this. Oops. Select that spline and I'll lock it in, move it along the y-axis right there. Let's make sure that spline is lined up too, so everything's on the same plane. Then go into the vertex sub-object mode. Make sure each of these is moved into place properly, and then we can weld them together. So let's select all those, hit Shift 2. If you've set that up as a hotkey, otherwise just weld them together and test it out by turning the extrude back on. And oh, it did not work. You can see that I'm not getting a solid object there. So let's make sure they're all still selected. Let's turn up our threshold a little bit, maybe 1 inch, and I think it worked. There we go. Now we can take our extrude from this one, copy it as a right click copy, and put it right onto here as well. So they're the same. You can even paste instanced. So if you extrude this one more, the other one extrudes as well. So now you have that whole front wall of the building made by just using spline tools. And our door's the right size now.